Hey everyone, today's economics lesson is going to be on supply and demand. Kind of two big words, but we'll get in and talk about what those words mean in just a second here. Our goal is that we can explain how supply and demand affect what people buy. So Tegan and her mom are on the way to the store to buy an umbrella. It's been raining for days, and the weather forecast says that the rain is going to continue until next week. When they get to the store, they rush over to the umbrella rack. Oh no, the rack's empty. All the umbrellas have been sold. Tegan and her mom decide to come back tomorrow to check if there's more umbrellas. Tegan and her mom couldn't buy an umbrella today because of something called supply and demand. Supply is how much of a good or service is available. Here's another way to think of it. Imagine you had a store that sold apples. If you only had one apple left, then your supply is one apple. Okay, that's a very low supply because that's not a lot of apples. But if you have 100 apples left, then your supply is 100 apples. And that is a high supply. You have a lot of apples. So going back to the umbrella example, the supply of umbrellas was low. In fact, it was all the way gone. If you look on the shelves in the store, you'll usually see lots of items. Those items are the supply of the store, how much they have to sell. In Tegan's case, there was no supply of umbrellas left to buy. So you can see in this picture, pretty high supply of water bottles on this side. So that means there's a lot of water bottles left to buy. And it looks like most of the stuff has a high supply in the store. It's not something a lot of people have bought yet. Demand, so we just talked about supply. Demand is how much a certain item is wanted. So what that means is how much you want something. Take this for example. Pretend a new iPhone came out, like the iPhone 12. Now I think a lot of people are gonna want the iPhone 12 because it's a brand new phone with some exciting features. So if a lot of people want the new iPhone, then the demand is going to be very high. That means a lot of people want that new iPhone. But if it's something that people don't really want, then the demand is going to be low. So pretend people already have a lot of cups in their house. They're probably not going to buy more cups, which would make the demand of cups lower. So if a lot of people want something, the demand is high. If not a lot of people want it, the demand's low. Many people in Tegan's community bought umbrellas. Why? Well, because the weather was rainy, very rainy for that matter. So when an item is needed, the demand goes up. So lots of people were buying umbrellas. So the demand was high. And remember, the reason it was high is because it had been raining for days and it was supposed to continue to rain for days. Supply and demand affects the price of things. If a lot of people need to buy umbrellas, the store may raise the price. So another way to look at it is, let's go back to the apple example. If you have a store that sells 100 apples, if you have 100 apples left and you say each apple is worth $1,000, Well, I don't think anyone's going to want to buy an apple for $1,000 because that's a ridiculous price. If you said that the apple is just 1 cent, 1 penny, well then a lot of people are probably going to want the apples because that's very cheap for an apple. The reason stores do not sell apples for that cheap is because they will sell a lot of apples if they have it only at 1 cent. But they're not going to make a lot of money. If you could sell the apple for $1, well, $1 is a lot more than a penny. So by making it $1, then you're going to make more money. But again, if you make the price too high, like say $1,000, and no one's going to want to buy that apple. So that's kind of the challenge that stores have. They want to make their price low enough so that people want to buy it, but not too low, because if they make it too low, again, they're not really going to make a lot of money. So that's how supply and demand affects the price of things. Going back to this umbrella example, a lot of people wanted to buy the umbrellas, so the store might make the umbrellas more expensive because people really want them. It's also why when new phones come out, they're pretty expensive because a lot of people want the new phone. And then when the phones are out for a long time, like a year, the prices might be a little bit lower because not as many people want a phone after a year it's been put out, because it's not a new phone anymore. At that point, it's an old phone. So they can, back to the umbrellas, they can charge more because there's a high demand on the umbrellas. Now pretend it's dry outside with no rain. The store might put umbrellas on sale. What that means is that the umbrellas would be cheaper. If it's not raining out, people don't really need umbrellas, so you might not see people buying umbrellas. So to try to get people to buy more umbrellas, they might make the umbrellas cheaper, less money, because people might buy the umbrella even if it's not rainy, but if it's a really cheap umbrella, then people might buy it. All right, so here's an example. It's winter, the weather is cold and snowy. A store is selling winter boots. People rush to the store to buy the boots. Is the demand high or low? Okay, if lots of people are trying to get the boots because it's snowy and cold, then obviously the demand is high. Now all the boots are purchased and there are none left to sell, so they're all gone. Is the supply high or low? Well, when they're all gone, the supply is low. That means there aren't a lot left. Okay, we're gonna continue this in the second part of the video. We'll be right back.